Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. Glad you can join us. Millions of people around the world paused today to take in the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, a ceremony that was steeped in rich tradition and solemn remembrance. Westminster Abbey is the same church where the Queen was married in 1947 and crowned in 1952. Her family was all in attendance, along with nearly 100 presidents and heads of government. In his sermon, the Archbishop of Canterbury praised the Queen's lifelong dedication and service to both country and crown.
We can all share the Queen's hope, which in life and death inspired her servant leadership. Service in life, hope in death. All who follow the Queen's example and inspiration of trust and faith in God can with her say, "We will meet again."
Some Canadians paid their respects to the Queen at a funeral in the nation's capital today as well. Politicians past and present, a former Governor General, and a number of prominent artists and musicians were there, as was our Fraser Needham.
The Queen is dead. In the land of the red maple leaf.
It was a day of respect, reflection, and looking forward, as Canadians paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth, who passed away earlier this month after 70 years of service. Algonquin Poet Laureate Albert Dumont of Kitigan-Zibi Anishinabeg spoke about the monarch's ability to relate to everyday people.
The Queen, her gentleness, her ability to emotionally connect with the common people, her desire to make the world cleaner and safer are truths she carries with her now into the great land of souls.
And her role in ongoing reconciliation.
The horrors committed against Indigenous peoples of British colonized lands by past monarchs will be spoken about around the council fire of the Spirit Land. The Queen will at that time renounce the brutality of the past.
Former Governor General Adrian Clarkson noted Queen Elizabeth's important role in establishing Canada's modern Constitution and Charter of Rights.
In 1982, Queen Elizabeth II came and signed the patriation of our Constitution, for which Canadians had worked for decades. We gained our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Canadians will always remember the Queen for coming to sign over to us what is rightfully ours.
Well, former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney talked about the Queen and Crown's role in creating and maintaining a stable Canadian democracy.
The success of Canada, so deeply admired everywhere as a model of civility, fairness, equality, and achievement. This didn't happen by accident. The system of government chosen by our founders had much to do with it. The British parliamentary system, led incomparably by the monarchy.
And renowned Cree playwright Thompson Highway said thank you in his own way. Well, Canadian musician Rufus Wainwright sang Hallelujah.
The baffled king composing Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
As we told you last week in our coverage, an Inuit delegation was in France to lobby for the extradition of Catholic priest Johannes Rivoire, who was accused of sexually abusing Inuit children nearly 50 years ago. APTN News reporter Kathleen Martins joined them on that trip. She's here now to tell us what was accomplished. Welcome home, Kathleen. So tell us about the trip, the delegation. Who did they meet with? What were the steps that they were taking, in trying to get this man extradited?
Yeah, it was intense. Lots of meetings across two major cities in France. In Paris, they met with, of course, local reporters, politicians, Canada's ambassador to France, and of course, representatives of the church. And they did want to see the Prime Minister, the President, Emmanuel Macron, and then the Prime Minister, and then the Justice Minister. That didn't happen, so that was a disappointment for them. It was quite a roller coaster. They'd get certain people, but then they didn't get others.
Right. And the goal of the trip was, of course, to get France to honor Canada's request to extradite Johannes Revoir back to the Arctic to stand trial. That didn't happen, right?
That's right. No. As APTN News has reported in the past, before this trip, France won't extradite its citizens, they call them French nationals, anywhere outside its borders to stand trial. So they said, they were told, after they came out of the meeting with the Justice Ministry, on their faces, the delegates looked really down, really devastated, and only two of them came forward to speak to us. We weren't allowed into the meeting to hear it for ourselves, but they were told, listen, he's French and he's 91. We're not sending him anywhere.
And so, being elderly, did that have a large part to do with the decision, or is it just something that wouldn't matter to his age? This is France's position in there, and they're not shipping their residents off somewhere else to be prosecuted.
Yeah, they told me, members of the delegation told me that was implied at all of the meetings with politicians. His age, he's 91, he lives in a retirement home in Lyon, and the fact that he's French. To which they said, they would say back to them, listen, France just prosecuted a Nazi war criminal in his 90s and convicted him, and he's going to serve time. So why the difference here? They didn't get a clear answer on that.
So, and then there was a meeting with the Oblates, I understand, too. And so tell us a little bit about that. And then I guess what was the overall accomplishment of this delegation, the trip to France?
Right. So as I mentioned, things would kind of go like that. So the meeting with the Oblates was super important. This is the boss of Revoir, so to speak. The Oblates are a France-based missionary group of men, and they're there. So this person who's like the superior of Revoir, he had a meeting with the whole delegation along with many of his other church officials, and we weren't allowed in. We stood out on the sidewalk for several hours waiting to hear what was going to happen. But in that meeting, Revoir was there unexpectedly, and the delegation said they were shocked by that. They were pleased, but shocked. They all got a chance to talk to him face to face, and it really sort of buoyed their spirits that maybe he is listening to them and they're lobbying, and maybe he would come home with them at the end of the week.
Yeah, he did not.
He did not come home with them, but the survivors who got a chance to face him said they came back lighter and full of relief, being able to say their piece to this guy. They've been holding it in since they were children. And I quickly want to add that the priest denies that he sexually abused any children. And of course, none of the charges have been laid or tested in court.
Right. Well, Kathleen, thanks. You and Brittany Gio did some incredible work while you were there. We appreciate you taking the time to come and debrief us here for our APTN National News audience.
You are most welcome, Melissa.
Well, it's time for us to take a short break, but when we come back, police who were looking for help identifying a John Doe in Winnipeg have found the man's family. We'll have that when we come back. Welcome back. Last week, Winnipeg police asked the public for help identifying an unknown male found in early August. As a result of their media release, officers have since connected with the man's family. The male in his late teens or early 20s was found in medical distress outside of a restaurant in Winnipeg's North End. He had been transported to a hospital where he later died. Police spent over a month searching for his next of kin, and detectives tried to identify him through missing persons reports and fingerprints, but he was not known to police. In an updated release, Winnipeg police now say that investigators have found his identity and they have connected with his family. About 40 people gathered outside of the Edmonton police headquarters on Sunday, angry over a video that shows a police officer shoving a woman to the ground. Here's Chris Stewart with more on that.
On August 15th, the passerby caught this exchange between an Edmonton police officer and a woman near the Hope Mission in Edmonton. The 12-second video shows an EPS officer violently pushing the Indigenous woman and knocking her down. In a statement to media, the Edmonton Police Service say that the woman had a knife and was about to fight another woman. The officer immediately responded to the fight and observed the woman brandishing a knife. The officer directed the woman to drop the knife, but she refused, expressing her affiliation to a criminal gang, and walked away in an area where bystanders were present. The officer considered the use of force options. Given the subject was armed, he determined pushing her to the ground would require the least amount of force possible to allow him to safely arrest the suspect. The EPS has obtained CCTV in the area that captured the event and confirms the above report of the incident. Judith Gale, the leader of the Bear Clan Patrol, Beaver Hills House, and Robert Flamont of Water Warriors YEG organized a rally outside the Edmonton Police Headquarters. She wants the Edmonton Police Service to release the CCTV video that the police say clears the officer.
We want to make sure that the EPS isn't spinning a story coming from their communications department. You know, that's my greatest concern, because if they're able to do this, I mean, what else are they going to do? What won't they stop at? So let's see. You know, we showed you our video, you show us your video.
Gail is on the streets daily, helping unhoused people with food and drink. She says police violence towards people who are marginalized must stop.
It is not an isolated incident. We see this incident on the daily. Our brothers and sisters live through it, survive through it, are traumatized by it on the daily. And I mean, they are already struggling with so many other issues. So why compound it more by being fearful of the very people that are supposed to protect you?
Robert Flamont says the police are lucky the woman didn't suffer a head injury, and he says the video does not show a knife. An object is seen falling during the takedown, but it can't be confirmed what the object is. Flamont says this happened because the woman is not white.
They pushed that lady for no reason, right? Very violently, two-handed, and she flew in the air, right? They arrested a guy on White Avenue that threatened a marginalized community with a baseball bat. No incident, because he was a white man.
In an email to APTN, the Edmonton Police Service say the CCTV video will not be released. Judith Gale wants the officer taken off the beat. The woman in the video was charged with possession of a weapon and released. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
We have a new update to that story. The Edmonton Police has emailed APTN another statement which says that the intoxication was considered a factor in this event and the woman was not charged as there was no willing complainant. The police did process her on outstanding warrants, fed her and released her after she was no longer considered a threat to the public. Well, on now to BC. An investigation into a hit and run that took place more than 3 months ago in Mission, British Columbia has been sent off to the prosecution office. The incident happened during a march for residential school survivors. Despite video evidence and the 77-year-old driver turning himself in, no charges have been laid. Separately, Mission RCMP are now apologizing for a tweet from their Twitter account earlier this week that raised eyebrows of Indigenous folks there. Dennis Ward spoke with journalist Robert Jago, who was covering the march when the hit and run happened and has been watching the fallout over this controversial tweet.
Robert, thanks so much for being with us. More than 3 months after this incident took place, Mission RCMP have now announced that they've forwarded their evidence to the BC Prosecution Service to determine whether there will be any charges. How do you feel about this latest update?
I'm glad that something is finally moving, and I'm glad that it's out of the RCMP's hands. I have almost no faith in them. In the Mission RCMP in particular. I have slightly more faith in the prosecution service, and I hope that they can see through whatever the RCMP prepared for them, because I am a little worried about what they sent them, that they're going to underplay it, they're going to try and shift blame. So I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad it's out of the RCMP's hands.
Since day one, there's kind of been issues with that initial press release even about this incident. Now this new press release doesn't make any mention of a hit and run. And the title of the press release is RCMP Forward Evidence Package in Residential School March Investigation, which could lead one to wonder if the march itself is under investigation. What do you make of that?
That is my concern. I know, we've been pushing quite hard on social media to try and get the story out there, to force them to investigate, to force them to collect evidence. And the blowback we've heard sounds a lot like the RCMP. And a lot of that blowback was trying to shift blame onto us, to say that we caused it. What I saw there was a hit and run. I didn't see an altercation. And I talked to everybody involved. No one knows about an altercation. And that this is the word they used in the press release. They said they're investigating the altercation, as if a person was in a fight with a truck. That makes no sense, and it's extremely worrying to me. Like what they sent to the BC Prosecution Service, they're gonna, I don't know, try and charge us for punching a truck with our backs or something. It's bizarre.
The day the Mission RCMP provided this update, there was also a series of tweets from the Mission RCMP Twitter account, including one that they've now apologized for, where they seem to make an excuse for not being able to find a missing Indigenous man who was found deceased a year later, not far from the detachment. When I asked them about this, they apologized and said the tweet, quote, is not in line with the core values and expectations of the Mission RCMP. What do you make of what was going on that day? I know you were paying attention to these tweets and responses.
Yeah, so before they issued the press release talking about submitting their materials to Crown Counsel, they sent it to me in a snarky, rude tweet. Saying that we should be grateful that they even sent it in, and they sent it in so quickly. We should be happy about that. The best explanation I've heard about it from someone was that they felt like someone at the RCMP mistook the RCMP account for their personal account, because the stuff coming out of there sounded like a personal troll account. It was, and I'm surprised that it was coming out of the RCMP. And this isn't the first time. From that detachment, we've seen them, backpedal and be forced to apologize for their public communication. They have a problem there. Like if you in a single investigation, we see them being forced to apologize again and again and again and again for public communication, for being rude and borderline racist. Then there's a definite problem in the leadership, at least in that detachment.
Well, Robert, this story's not played itself out yet. I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. Appreciate you taking some time for us today.
Thank you, and thanks for keeping on the story.
Well, it's time for one more quick break, but when we come back, the Academy Awards says Soraya Sachin Littlefeather's 50 years after her appearance at the Oscars. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Thanks, Greg Shriver, for this snap near Ottawa, Ontario. Greg says that it's like the sky was on fire, and I think we're inclined to agree with you there, Greg. Great photo. If you have a neat photo to share, please send it to email to us at shared@aptn.ca so we can share it with our audience, is what I'm trying to say. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. Off to the east coast, we got 13 in showers for Fredericton and Halifax. Kuujjuaq sunshine and 14 degrees, Inukjuak 11 with a chance of showers. Saguenay 18 and sunny skies. Montreal 15 and cloudy with a chance of rain. 26 in sunshine for Toronto. 26 in sunshine for Sault Ste. Marie. 23 in showers for Kapuskasing. 12 and showers for Big Trout Lake. Puckatawagan 11 and rain. Same with Thompson, you're getting rain, but 10 degrees. 19 in sunshine for Winnipeg. 16 and sunny for Dauphin. 14 and sunny for Swift Current. Yorkton, rain, 13 degrees expected there. 12 in showers for Buffalo Narrows. Uranium City, 13 in sunny skies. Lots of sun for Northern Alberta, 14 in Fort Chip and 16 in High Level. 15 in showers for Edmonton, 13 with a mix of sun and cloud in Lethbridge. 21 in sunny for Kamloops and Penticton, 23 in sunshine for Victoria. Sandspit, 18 in sunshine. Prince George, 17 in sunny. 14 in showers for Beaver Creek. Whitehorse, 18 and sunny skies. Wauhee, 14 in sunshine. Wrigley, 16 and sunny. Same with you in Fort Simpson. Fort McPherson and Colville Lake, both showers and 14. Tuktoyaktuk, 10 and cloud. Newyacht, 1 and sunny. Arviat, 8 and sunshine. Kenite, 4 with a mix of sun and cloud. 4 and mostly sunny for Pangertung. Well, the Academy Awards said sorry to Sacheen Littlefeather this past weekend, almost 50 years after she refused the Best Actor award on behalf of Marlon Brando. In 1973, Littlefeather made a short but powerful speech at the awards show wearing a buckskin dress and moccasins. She was the first Indigenous woman to stand on the stage at the Academy Awards representing Marlon Brando after he was named winner of Best Actor for The Godfather. She explained that he could not accept the award because of the treatment of American Indians in the film industry. Littlefeather claims she was mocked and discriminated against for her speech. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences had formally apologized to her in June and then held an event just this past Saturday in person.
To honor you for everything.
In recognition of the misrepresentation and mistreatment of Native American people by the film industry, you made a powerful statement that continues to remind us of the necessity of respect and the importance of human dignity. The abuse you endured because of this statement was unwarranted and unjustified. The emotional burden you've lived through and the cost to your own career in our industry, irreparable. For too long, the courage you showed has been unacknowledged. For this, we offer both our deepest apologies and our sincere admiration.
I am here accepting this apology, not only for me alone, but as the acknowledgement, knowing that it was not only for me, but for all of our nations that also need to hear and deserve this apology tonight.
That is a wrap on your APTN News to kick off the week. Hit our website, aptnnews.ca, to catch up on anything that you may have missed in the last few days. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We're always thankful to have you join us. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.